And we're back for team predictions in a quick segue. The Habs, no longer in the North Division. We're back to normal 82-game season. Fans coming back into the stands, that's a different story. But what this means is that we're back in the Atlantic. And the Atlantic this year, as it has been for multiple years, stacked a tabarnak for the Montreal Canadiens. And even though they have done well in acquiring new pieces and trying to be a competitive team, it still remains a challenge in this division, and that's what we're going to talk about. So we've got in the Atlantic divisions the Bruins, the Sabres, Tire Fire right over there, Red Wings, the Panthers, the Senators, the Lightning, and the Maple Leafs. So fair to say that there are maybe two teams here that we can safely count out of the race. And even then, you never know what can happen in hockey, as we saw the miracle run of the Montreal Canadiens in the Stanley Cup playoffs last season. But so the Sabres and the Red Wings, we can agree, probably not ready. Jack Eichel about to move on for the Sabres, and the Red Wings are still in a rebuild. So that leaves us with the Bruins, Panthers, Canadiens, Senators, Lightning, and Maple Leafs. My question to you, Alex, Justin, starting with you, Justin, do the Montreal Canadiens make it into the playoffs this year?
Oh, it's a tough one. I mean, I see this division as like, to me, the Leafs and the Lightning are 100% going to make the playoffs. And then you have the Sabres, the Red Wings that are 100% going to not make the playoffs. And then you have the Bruins, Panthers, Habs that are left there to get the final spot. And I mean, I want to say the Sens maybe have an outside chance. They had a really good end of the season last season, and they have a lot of young players that could maybe do something if they eventually fucking sign Brady Tkachuk. But yeah, it's a crapshoot. I don't know. I think if the Habs make it, they're gonna make it in like the wild card spot or like the fourth spot there. So yeah, I hope they do. But if they do, it's going to be by the skin of their teeth. But just how we like it, baby. That's how we made it last year.
Yeah, it just keeps us on our toes. You know what I mean? Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much to add to that. I think we're all going to have very similar answers, that there are those top teams that are realistically locks, and we're going to be fighting for that wild card spot. I think it is doable, but again, if we do get in, it's going to be a little squeak in at the end of the season. I think Ottawa may surprise people. In the North Division, they were causing problems. I mean, they were still far out, but it's a young team that, again, I don't see them making the playoffs, but I think they might be closer to us than we think. And the other question mark, I think, is Boston, who we've been calling their decline every year for probably 10 years now, but they keep winning, they keep showing up. So yeah, those are my two question marks, but I think we'll either just miss or squeak in.
The only thing that I would say differently, and this will segue into my next question that is more Habs related, but there's, I think, a few things that can happen, and where I differ my answer between you two is that the teams that I think that are really like a lock are Tampa Bay and the Florida Panthers. Toronto Maple Leafs, I know that they're going to make the playoffs realistically, okay? But there is a scenario in my head, and it starts in nets for me because they lost Freddie Anderson, and I know Jack Campbell was a guy that came in and was a good performer for them, but they've got him, Peter Mrazek. There is a scenario that can present itself where things can go south. So that segues into what I want to ask you guys for the Montreal Canadiens, is that I feel like there's two paths that the Montreal Canadiens could go through. Is that it's either going to be, for me, a good season, a great season where the Habs make the playoffs and they can have a little bit of buzz. Who knows if they get to the Stanley Cup finals again? I'm not sure. But I see two scenarios. Is that all of these injuries, the loss of, Shea Weber, Carey Price not being like with the team for the amount of time that he's going to miss. Some injuries to Hoffman, a young core in Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield. Maybe there's going to be some kind of delay there. Jake Allen is going to be a starter for a little bit. All of those factors. Now, it can either be that they arise to this occasion, and then after that, the additions help with solidifying their place. So my question in all of this is that where do you see the elements that are going to either bring the Montreal Canadiens to success, or what are the elements that are going to bring them to their downfall? So I know that was a long kind of preloaded question, but it allows you to kind of develop on your answer. So Justin, I don't know if you're ready because you seemed a little bit perplexed by my phrasing.
I was very perplexed. Yeah, this is like it's a thesis or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Thesis question. But yeah, I was just thinking about it, and the first thing I thought about was scoring, because the Habs always have troubles with scoring, and I think this is the first year that I'm a Habs fan that I don't think will have trouble with scoring, because we just have scoring all around. Like our top 9 is just filled with people that can score. The key to our success, I think, is going to be our defense being able to step up in the loss of Shea Weber. Jeff Petrie has shown in the past that he can be that like number one defenseman. When Shea Weber wasn't there, he would step up and he'd play like his best games of the season when Shea Weber would be out. Another guy that I think has to be good and has to be better than what we've seen in the preseason so far is David Savard. He was kind of brought in to replace Shea Weber. I don't think anyone can replace him, but yeah, I've just found that he hasn't really found his step so far, and I think he needs to be a key in our defense, along with Ben Sherratt, who's his partner right now. So I think the defense is really what took a hit in the offseason, and that is what I think will be the deciding factor if we are winning games or losing games.
Sammy Niku is not the answer for you?
He could be.
Could be. Okay, I like that.
Maybe
Sammy Niku, Sammy Niku, who we signed, I think, to like a 1-year deal. He came from Winnipeg. I know that there's been some good talks about him being maybe a little gem.
Yeah.
What is it? What's the thing? Like a diamond in the rough? That's it?
Yeah.
That's the way to say it?
It sucks, though. He played one shift in a preseason game and got a concussion from a hit from behind.
Was it Norris or Batherson? I can't remember. Norris? I think it was Norris.
One of those fuckboys.
Okay. Alex, coming back to my prolonged question, what are the keys or the elements that will either be the factors of success or downfall for the Montreal Canadiens, if I can say it that way?
Yeah, I'll start with the downfall. And I can't believe I'm still even discussing this, considering how much we pay our goalies. And it's not to downplay the situation with Price. Obviously, it's a shame, and all the best to him. But I think goaltending is our biggest issue going into this year. Jake Allen obviously was brought in to play a backup role, which he's done well so far. But his whole career, he's struggled as a starter. So if he has to take on the most of the load this year, I'm concerned as to his ability to do that. And like Justin mentioned, with our defense being more of a question mark this season, hopefully he's not left out to dry and we go downhill from there. So I see our goaltending being an issue depending on how long Price needs. For our success, I think Justin put it perfectly. It's the first time in forever as a Habs fan that I'm not worried about scoring. Even if guys like Caulfield, Suzuki struggle a little, sophomore slump or whatever it is, we have so much depth on the wings. I think people posting their line predictions and stuff, some of them had Hoffman on the fourth line, guys like Lehkonen on the fourth line still. It's unbelievably deep at wings. And Dvorak shores up that center. So, yeah, I'm not concerned about the scoring, and I think so I could see us being successful that way.
Yeah, I think one thing that I will say, and this is going to be the make or break for me, is Nick Suzuki and the Cole Caulfield tandem. That for me is going to be either it's going to be exactly what we want it and hope to be, or it might be another year where they're still trying to find their stride, and they're young kids that might have some moments of inconsistency. But that's where I really see the team not being able to. I know that we have scoring on the wings and stuff like that, but we've always been a team that lacks that number one center in terms of performance, and Nick Suzuki seems to be the answer. And now you have that perfect coupling on paper with Cole Caulfield. And if that doesn't play out the way that we want it to this season, that for me is where it's going to kind of either go in the fork in the road. So it's either Nick Suzuki turns into this Patrice Bergeron-esque, some people say some Jonathan Toews in him, whatever it is, this two-way effective offensive center with Cole Caulfield, who was absolutely electric for us coming in the playoffs, playing a big role. And that's the one I'm gonna be eager. I don't know what you guys think, if that's gonna really play out the way that we think it is, or I don't know. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Just.
Sorry, what was the question?
What do you guys think about Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield? Like, do you think it's going to play out the way that we think it is, or no?
I think they have enough talent for it to play out. I mean, just like it did in the playoffs. It's just like they get together and they had the chemistry right away. Nick Suzuki already went through his little sophomore slump last year, so I think he's over the hump, and I think he's gonna develop to be that bona fide 1C. I don't think he's gonna end up being a player that maybe scores 100 points, but I think he's gonna be that player that scores 80 points or so, and he's a reliable point per game guy that's 200 foot and can do it. And Cole Caulfield, he might be a bit more one-dimensional, but I think he can fucking snipe the puck in the net, and that's all that matters for his game. So, I mean, I think this tandem is going to do fine this year. And like Alex said, if they don't, we have the depth to kind of support them not doing as well. But I have more. I guess I have more doubt. A little more doubt in Cole Caulfield, like reaching his potential so quickly than Nick Suzuki, who I think is more established and more confident in his game right now.
I think the thing with them too is that if there are struggles, there's no need to keep them together, considering how many creative players there are. You can easily move Caulfield onto the wing of Dvorak, and with a guy like Drouin at left wing or something. Also, we haven't mentioned, but Drouin should be back for the first game. He's played the preseason, so good to see that. Hopefully he has a hell of a year. But yeah, you put a guy with Drouin who can make space and plays for Caulfield and kind of change that up if he struggles a bit. And I think you have all the capability in the world to just juggle lines this year and find something that works. We don't have that issue of someone being stuck playing with, I won't name drop players, but worse players, less creative players. So I think you can find a spark basically anywhere this year.
Good takes. Let us know what you guys think down below in the comments if you're on YouTube, and if not, you can hit us up on Twitter. You got a new format here where you can see it at No Respek Podcast. You take out the C, you take out the T, you throw in a K. You got No Respek Podcast with a couple of other letters there. But yeah, so let us know your opinion on this one. And we'll be right back after this to talk a little bit about the Kotkaniemi situation and a little Would You Rather segment. So we'll be right back right after this.